Okay, hi. So I'm making this video because I'm like running into a situation that is kind of like my first time running into this situation. So I've I've been in two relationships so far. So my first relationship was my first boyfriend like in college, and we were together for almost 2 years, but I think the problem was like lying and all this stuff, and eventually like we broke up. I might like save that for another video. But um so that was kind of my experience before this person I met. So this person is, I consider, my second boyfriend. So I met him shortly after I broke up with my first boyfriend. So I do consider this a rebound relationship because I wasn't over my like first boyfriend, and like sometimes I think I'm still like not like I'm still mad. I still get mad about it, and this was like a year ago. So anyways, a year ago when we broke up. So anyways, I was kind of dating this guy. Like we went to the same high school. I knew like who he was, and then like he was a football player and I was a cheerleader, but I was pretty like, I'm still introverted to this day, but I was pretty introverted in high school. And like I never really talked to the football players, but I knew like who he was. Like I knew he existed. I worked on the yearbook staff. I knew like who he was. So let's just call him Danny. So this is Danny. This is my last ex. So we knew each other existed, or I at least knew he existed. I don't even know if he knew I existed, but I'm pretty sure we were in the same room on several occasions. Like we had a few mutual friends. So flash forward to breaking up my ex. I really just wanted to hang out and make friends, because one of the things that made me different from my first ex was he had a lot of girlfriends, but I had almost no guy friends. So I was like, I'm about to get some guy friends. So that's kind of like one of the reasons like we kind of ended. But in that process, I wanted to party when I would go back home from my college town with my boyfriend. So I had messaged this guy Danny before I broke up with my boyfriend, asking about parties, and the messages kind of ended with, okay, like I'll let you know the parties, and we never talked. And then so like he tweeted me about the parties, because I don't know how he ended up following me, because we weren't actually friends. We just had so many mutual friends that I guess he added me on Facebook and followed me on Twitter. So I'm like, okay, okay, I'll accept more Twitter followers. But anyways, so he kind of yeah, so when I broke up with my boyfriend, I was like, well, now I actually do feel comfortable with having guy friends. So I messaged him, I think, to meet up, and I was like, hey, let me know about the party. So I don't know how I ended up not being scared like to meet him, but we kind of went on a date, but we were just hanging out. So we went to this little like middle school festival for Danny's little sister. And then, so her name is, I'll say, Andrea. So Danny's little sister Andrea was having a middle school carnival, and then he was like, why don't you come with me? So we went there, we played all the kiddie games, and like there was food trucks and everything was cool. And the thing that scared me a little bit was that his sister never showed up, like at that time. Like apparently she'd already went and she left. And then so that scared me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But it was weird because that part was scary, but I was having a good time getting to know him. And then it wasn't even like a relationship type of thing. It was just kind of like a we're hanging out and having fun kind of thing. So I don't even consider that a date. I consider that us hanging out. And then so then after that, also at the carnival, that this is really random too, because I feel like my city my city just feels like the smallest little place now, but it actually has a lot of people in it. I saw my neighbor from when I was really young, so I just kept looking at her, and I was like, I'm older than her, and I remember kind of babysitting her when she would play with my little brother. So I just kept looking at her, and I was waiting for that moment to go up to her, but it never happened. And then but I told my little brother to go do his research and go look up on Facebook, and it was her. So I was like, damn it. But I know we'll probably meet again. But so there were some good moments. Like, I was really comfortable with that, and I felt like, oh my god, something like happens, like somebody I knew would be there. So that was really fun. And then, like, yeah, I forgot to say he had picked me up, and then he dropped me off. And the only reason I did feel safe is because I did know him from high school, and some of my friends vouched for him, like, that he was okay. So then, and I think I had told my friends, like, where I was going and stuff. So after that, we didn't talk that much because I think I went back to school. Like, I was just at home for a weekend, or it was like a break. And then, let me see, I'm really trying to remember. So after that, we kind of just, like, took it slow. Like, we didn't really talk that much, but we had a good time. But then, like, the next time we met, we, like, went from, like, friends to, like, straight up, like, we were just, like, started making out and, like, all this stuff. And it was pretty fast. So because that was the first time I even kissed someone that wasn't my first boyfriend, because that was, like, the only thing I knew. It was very, like, weird for me to deal with it, but I basically tried to just, like, cut him off and, like, not text him and, just kind of move away because I wasn't ready. So he kind of texted me and was like, I really like you, and I would text him and be like, oh, I really like you too. But I was still actually dealing with stuff from my ex. Like, we broke up, but he would message me and be like, oh, who are you talking to? Like, all this stuff. Like, it was just so, like, it was too much stress. And then, so, my ex was still, like, kind of part of my life. And then there was this guy, Danny. So, let me see. I went to study abroad, and that's where everything, well, I guess no, that was kind of like, sorry, I'm just confused because I'm trying to remember. Anyways, we were kind of saying, like, oh, I like you, oh, do you like me, all this stuff. And then it was just confusing for me because I was still feeling my ex. And then I was honest with Danny. I was like, I am not over my ex, and this is very confusing for me because this is my first time, like, not dating someone. And Danny also said, like, on the first, like, because us hanging out the second time, I guess you could consider that our first date, he's like, oh, I'm not a one-woman man. So I think that's why I was, like, moving away. And just, so that, like, oh my god, it's just so hard to explain. This is just the premise of what is happening. So we kind of just, we stopped for a minute. I sorted out my feelings with my ex, and I was like, I'm not doing this. And my ex actually had a girlfriend and was still trying to talk to me. And I was like, and he was like, oh, well, I saw that you were talking to, you told me you were talking to another dude, so I just couldn't, like, I couldn't handle it, so I got a girlfriend. So, and by the way, he's still with that girlfriend to this day. Like, that is so random, but I don't know, he claimed, like, he was just with this girlfriend for, like, a minute, or I don't know, he was just saying he was lonely. So I was like, whatever, you freaking liar, like, that's why we broke up. But I'm not bitter, though. But anyways, yeah, so then this second dude, we actually started going out after I sorted out my feelings, and then it was great. Like, we would go on dates, we would go to parties together. We met all these friends that I knew from high school, but I wasn't close with, except for 2 girls I was actually pretty close with because they were cheerleaders too. But it started becoming really fun. We would like get drunk together. That was cool at first, but of course, like, there has to be some kind of flaw, right? But everything was pretty nice. We went on dates. We were being a couple. I even introduced him to my parents, which is a really big deal to me, and like my little brothers and stuff, and my older brother. And so this went on for like 6 months, I think, or like close to 6 months. We were pretty much dating. I think we even went to Vegas together. And with our whole group of like football players from high school, cheerleaders. It was just funny and nostalgic to me because in high school I never hung out with the cheerleaders like outside of like cheering and practice, and I definitely never hung out with the football players because I didn't talk to any guys. I just had like this is gonna sound weird, but I had like just weird crushes that I would never talk to them. I would never actually pursue them. I was just like shy, and like there's no way I would have reached like trying to, I don't know. So, and also football players annoyed me, so I mean, I should have learned my lesson from that. Anyways, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry this is like long-winded and stuff. We were having a good time. I actually stopped thinking about my ex and for a while, and everything was pretty perfect. Like, he would even, get me flowers, which my ex literally would never do, even though I asked him just one time, get me flowers. And he was like, okay, tell me which ones you want. But I don't know, it was just not sincere when he would do it. But yeah, Danny though, he was really good at like getting gifts and like, picking me up and like being sweet and like doing everything perfect. So I was like, okay, I think everything happened mostly on winter break when I was back from school. Like, we got together and then we kind of like we were dating, and then I would talk to him back at school. And school is like 5 hours from where I live, so he decided he was gonna come up and visit me. Before this time, he didn't visit me, but he did visit me, and we drove to San Francisco with his best friend and his girlfriend, who's also my friend, who I will call her Sally. So yeah, just it was a nice trip that time, except for like 2 small moments. So I think those were like, I'm like a strike person. I'm kind of like a 1, 2, 3. You're like, don't make mistakes. After my first boyfriend, I kept being like a 20 strike person, like of little lies here and there. So during the San Francisco trip, there was like 2 times where I was like, okay, you just got 2 strikes, because I was nervous about driving there from the beginning, but he pressured me into driving there, which I didn't even realize till later, because I was so like infatuated and so like excited, and I was like, oh, like people who get you to try new things are like really good people and stuff, like, like, I don't know, I was just in a different mode. Like, I wish I could talk to myself. Of course, hindsight is always the best sight. But the second thing he did was first he pressured me into driving. Then I got scared on the freeway. I think that was my first time driving on the freeway, which I don't know what was going through my head. I think I was like, oh well, I have to do it sometime, so I might as well do it when someone's with me in the car. So I was scared, and then I braked really hard, and my brakes were actually pretty bad. And I got scared and I exited, and when I braked, it made an even bigger noise than it probably would have made if the brakes were good. But my campus was only 5 minutes from my house, so I shouldn't have been driving 2 hours away. That's why probably the brakes weren't that big a deal when my parents were checking out the car and stuff. So I braked really hard and it made a big noise, almost like it was gonna be an accident, but nobody was around, and it was just me exiting and getting scared that I was gonna drive over the curve like that and kill us. But yeah, after that happened, I was before I left, I said, please be calm, because don't make me feel bad about driving, because I'm already scared. And when that happened, he was like, what was that? What did you just do right now? What did you just do? And I was hella mad the whole trip after that, because we got there and then he kind of got a taste of his own medicine, because driving in San Francisco is crazy. That's why I'm it's kind of who would put that idea in my head in the first place? But okay, let me see, I will stop at the San Francisco trip for now, and then I'll make a part 2.